Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Boys from the Baltic Star. My name is Luke, and I'm very pleased to have you with us. Today, we really do appreciate you, whether you're a first timer or an old hand, or even one of those viewer bots. We love you all. We love you all, not equally, but we do love you all. And thank you so much for joining us this evening to this world of yellow and, well, I'm going gold and red and white. It's a beautiful scene. All the graphics are stolen from the book, of course. Mercilessly, we definitely didn't do these ourselves.
With permission.
With permission, thank goodness. I said there was permission. Um, court case incoming. Um, luckily, some publishers aren't quite so focused on legal situations as others.
Now.
Anywho,
Moving swiftly.
Moving along.
oh, we're gonna get our first warn. We are the Boys in the Baltic Star. It might be the last time we're streaming. Who knows? And it's Friday night, and if you've joined us because Friday night means Traveller, you're bang out of luck because we're in between seasons of Traveller. That starts off again next week with season 3. However, you're bang in luck if you want some high quality work from a top quality GM and 2 buffoons playing along. If it's your first time, please feel free to lurk or to chat as you feel free to, as you feel comfortable. We generally have a few regulars that pop in and are generally quite friendly and chatty, so feel free to get involved with that, or just keep a stoic silence or lurk, whichever suits you best. We love our lurkers, so I'm doing all of our lurkers. There we go. If you click the red sun, which is actually linked to Traveller thematically, but that's our bread and butter, our elves, as it were. For some Imperial credits, you'll be able to spend some money if you spend some time here. Now, the first one that's come up is, I've got a few exciting ones here. Thank you for sharing the first one, though, Ben. The first one is I'll drink to that, which I'll talk about especially. Sometimes we'll say something, or that people just want to get involved in, like, yeah, I agree to that, I'll drink to that, and all that sort of stuff. So we've allowed that as a 1 credit, so anyone can do it at any time, because, we like that. We want to be... we want sort of a lot of equality in that for everyone, newcomers and oldcomers alike. There's some other options in there. Have a chat through and read. If you're not sure, just click it and try it out. If it's more expensive, ask us, let us know. Some things speak for themselves. Name an NPC, Ewan is in there. There's a boon is in there as well, so that's good. So we can make use of boons, especially when up against baboons. Clonk makes... you have to choose someone that has to hit someone or kick something straight away. Lots of other bits and pieces. There's a new one which is called It Takes Two, baby. Troika, as you'll learn very quickly, is a very random and weird game. So this Ewan has set up. So all you have to do is say type 2 words that might not necessarily mean anything separately, and that thing will become a thing as if by magic, and will drop into the game world. However, nothing NFSFSW.
Keep it PG.
Keep it PG. I couldn't put NSFW in the description. It wasn't allowed, believe it or not. So there you go. You'd have thought Twitch would want to keep it NF. Oh, for goodness sake. The NSFW. I'm a maths teacher, not English. So there's some options. There's some other stuff. If it's pink, click on that, and some music will play, which is always very exciting, and things will happen. Otherwise, just enjoy yourselves. Just have a click, have a don't, have a listen. Come and go as you wish. It will run a couple of hours maybe this evening, with a break in the middle, Ewan.
Yeah.
Good.
That is the plan.
Good. I'm drinking lager tonight, so I'll need that break in the middle. And I know, try not to go too heavy tonight. So please, all of you, I hope you'll hang around for as long as you want to, or feel free to. Sit back, relax, chat amongst yourselves if you wish, and just enjoy the very strange tale told by what we'll all agree is a master storyteller, who's held back only by those he's telling the story through.
Yes, we are playing around him.
Speaking of which, shall we introduce... I'll introduce all of us, and then I'll hand over to the Golden Barge driver himself. It's not even what it's called in the book. He just wanted to sound really important.
I'll have to actually reread the book and see if it is called something. Who knows?
the yellow bus driver. That's what it was. He just made it sound grander. So my name is Luke. Hello, I am in the bottom right-hand corner, and it's a pleasure to be with you all tonight. That's enough about me. Moving across to, I like Troika because I get to say my partner in crime, which is quite rare that he and I are both playing together.
It is unusual.
And if you haven't met him before, I will give his full introduction.
Oh, God.
He is the smartest man in any room, and the longer you spend here, you'll realise it. He lives his entire life in the Twin Peaks dream sequence. It's rumoured that people listen back to recordings of his voice while sat on the speakers. He has a part-time job as the new milk tray man for the 21st century, breaking into women's houses and leaving boxes of chocolates on their nightstands. People still have nightstands.
And all because the lady loves milk tray.
There we go. He is. If you got everyone and then made someone that was the best of everyone, it's him. It's Ben. Apart from his ankle, which is knackered. Good evening, Ben. How are you?
Knackered ankle.
Just take the worst ankle bones of everyone in existence. But the best bits of everything else. How you doing, man? You all right?
Yeah. Aside from a very sore ankle, I'm well, thank you. Yes.
Good. It's been a long time since we played Troika. How are you feeling about coming back to the Magical Lands, Ben?
I'm quite liking it actually, because it's always a very, very weird and charming and bizarre experience all at once. It's a place where you can do just about anything as long as you can find a way to make it interesting.
You have turned yourself into a gas mask, and I've worn you.
That's true. I was actually quite proud of that.
That was very good problem solving. Well, as I say, it's a pleasure to step into battle once again with you.
Oh, thank you. I'm looking forward to it. I think we find ourselves in a new and unknown environment, so it'll be very interesting to see how we cope with this, if at all.
I go for not at all.
Not at all. Yeah,
Not
probably.
Well, the man who is going to do his best to make sure we survive at least for a short while for entertainment value. The man who once again is the housewife's favourite, and it's been proven on multiple occasions. The amount of fan mail I get sent to my Twitter account with people thinking it's Ewan is frankly embarrassing. He is my brother from another mother. The more handsome brother from obviously a more handsome mother. It is the delightful, the golden barge driver himself, Ewan. Good evening, Ewan. How are you?
Hi, Luke. I'm very well, thank you. I'm very well. I'm excited.
You should
frankly,
be.
to see what you come up with next.
How much prep did you do for this in the end?
Not a huge amount. I tend to be quite light on prep anyway, and mostly just say yes to whatever you guys like to do. Throw in a few rolls, and see where it takes us. I know. Well, I kind of know where we need to end up at some point, but how we get there is entirely up to you.
This is why we end up in ridiculous trouble in this game.
It is indeed.
Yeah.
Speaking of this game, I feel that it's time to seed the floor, as it were, to get the spotlight man to twiddle it around to point at you and welcome you onto centre stage, Ewan.
Shall we begin?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And welcome to Troika, a safe haven for those who travel between the different worldly spheres that ride across the humpback sky. A place where our star-crossed adventurers Lucy, say hello, Lucy.
Hello.
Actually, seeing as Luke threw this on me, say hello, Lucy, and tell us a little bit something about yourself. Just one fact.
Lucy comes from a privileged background in the world of Helvetica.
And Carl, say hello, Carl, and tell us something about yourself.
Hello there, my name is Carl, and I'm quite tall.
Both true facts. Anyway, this is where they arranged to meet. They shared a drink in the bar of one of the many blancmange and thistle hotels that make up the entirety of Troika proper, and shared an entertaining, for me at least, lift journey. Blood feuds were sworn in haste with a lift attendant before they made it to the roof and the Feast of the Chili Arch, where they met a demon slayer named Sasha, who persuaded the duo to help them kill a demon. Before Lucy literally ran the poltergeist through, having turned herself into a silver-tipped lance, wielded by their multicoloured, armoured, silent night henchmen, who they've named Lance. Shortly after, they had been exploded on by Jeremiah, a fellow of the Sublime Society of Beefsteaks, whose comrades implied some degree of mystery behind this reoccurring event within their society. And there was a run-in with the tiny lift mandrel attendant, whilst Carl masterfully unleashed some social puppeteering in the crowd to try and cause distraction for the assassination. Anyway, murders were committed in front of the poltergeist's newest friend, a small child, and her father. The hotel manager, Hugo, was shell-shocked and informed them that security footage would need to be consulted. Hugo cast a spell, and the party of three and their escort appeared in a blank white space. And then Hugo said, "I'm sorry to intrude and to bother you, but there's been an incident." And that's where we rejoin our heroes, ? As Lucy and Carl, as you stand in the impossibly endless bright white space, it's quite eerie. You find that when you don't move, there's no sound at all, and your mind starts to wander off on weird tangents along new axes that it hasn't navigated before. Like, those decibel negative rooms that will eventually warp your mind in real life, but less severe and much, much quicker. You find yourself in this room, you can't tell if it's a room. It's white as far as the eye can see, quite bright, and Hugo has just said this and seems to be standing quite patiently.
Lucy, as someone who knows me quite well, can you tell me if my heart is actually on the outside of my chest right now?
No, doesn't appear to be.
That's weird.
But isn't it usually inside?
I don't know. What are hearts really anyway?
I think there's more than one answer to that question.
You're a wiser woman than me. Oh, are we on the floor or the ceiling?
Yes, definitely.
So I was looking to the left, and then it became the right. It just carried on round, and it came back again.
I know what you mean, in the sense that the further away you look, the nearer things are, and the further you sort of try to zoom in on your arm, the longer it gets.
Yeah, I feel like I could lick the white, but I could fire a crossbow and the bolt would never hit the white.
I know what you mean, though I would avoid doing that in case it actually somehow ended up stuck in you.
Oh, I don't think I like it here. It doesn't go well with my dark clothes. I stand out a bit.
It doesn't fit at all with my skills.
Or the fez.
Or the fez. It's a problem. I mean, a real serious problem. I suppose at its heart, it boils down to a few questions, really. Where are we? Why is it here that we are? And how do we get where we actually should be, wherever that happens to be?
Just briefly, as you're looking around and bringing up your clothes, you are Lucy. You are still severely covered in red from the from the explosion of Jeremiah. And Carl, you still have a big smudge patch down your chest where Lance gave you a hug. But Lance has furiously managed to polish off the majority of the blood, and there's just still a few little red marks on his multicolored rainbow armor. Hugo overhears you say that, and he says, "Well, all will be answered in good." And just as he's finishing the sentence, there's a much more familiar white noise, I suppose, suddenly pops into existence in the room, and a somewhat gaunt figure stumbles out in front of you, catches themselves, straightens the collar on their shiny silver and blue two-tone suit that's quite well fitted, flicks back their coiffed hair with a head flick. We're talking like 4K YouTuber hair with like grey highlights, and says, "Oh, hello. Sorry to keep you. Please take a seat." And as you look around, there are now two quite comfy looking Barker Lounger style chairs and a chaise lounge, which Hugo has now taken a seat on and put one leg up and the other one.
I'll give a sort of slightly nervous looking glance towards Carl and then walk over and sit down carefully in the chair, which is a fairly involved process given the staff and the size of the robes that I'm wearing. As soon as I'm sitting down, I will carefully reach under my fez and take out the egg and offer it to Hugo and say, "Egg?"
He looks at you and says, "No, I'm not whilst on duty, but thank you."
Okay, I'll pop it back under the fez.
The figure who just entered sort of raises a bit of a head at this and sits down across what is now sort of quite a low-rise coffee table, circular coffee table in front of you, but sits down opposite. There's no chair there, but as they go to sit down, you sort of blink and open your eyes, and they're sat in a very identical Barker Lounger style chair to the both of you. And they say, before we get into this, I so very rarely get the chance to leave Troika. Please tell me something about where you're from, your home, your sphere. Tell me what brings you joy on your world. And he looks to you, Lucy, first.
The gardens are very nice.
Flowers, vegetables.
Some of each.
Interesting. And you? He looks over to Carl.
It's hard to remember my own home, I guess. Wherever I travel is my current home as part of my swearing in, really. I go where I'm needed and where I'm told.
They've got a very laid-back sort of mannerism and body language that they're giving off in this chair, and they look at you and they say, "It's important. It's important to have a home, wherever that may be, or however fleeting it may be." What brings you joy in general in life? What are your happiest moments?
I feel that the happiest I've been for a long time, actually, is meeting Lucy. Someone who is as interested in bringing change and the journey of society, I suppose. When I'm around her, it's when I feel most at home and happiest.
Well, that's a comforting thought. Strange you should mention the change on society. Is He looks over to Hugo and then looks back at you. Is your time on the roof an example of that change?
Events may have overtaken us a little, but it's important to act sometimes when you see something worrying.
I see. What worried you on the roof?
Well, there were any number of things. First of all, there was a extremely disrespectful mandrill that attempted to bite me.
Well, now I think whilst L42, and he looks over to Hugo again, may have some issues that need addressing, and looks back to you. I think perhaps they were encouraged somewhat. No pointing fingers. A situation occurred and it escalated, but perhaps it could have been dealt with differently by both parties.
We'll never know.
I sort of paused to think for a minute. What else worried you?
Well, the place itself is a little bit confusing to a newcomer. It is unusual to be in a place that is so much in parallel, shall I say. So many functionally identical, simultaneous, ongoing threads all at once. That is unsettling.
The dimensions and indeed the transdimensionality of the space can take some adjustment. That has been noted before.
I was most concerned. I suppose what put me on edge was the sudden, unexplained explosion of the cheerful-looking meat stirrer.
They look somewhat confused at this, and they look over to Hugo once more, who sort of shrugs at this point, I suppose, and they said, "I'm sorry, explosion."
You know those chaps that take charge of the meat? They're the big party guys.
The fellows of the Sublime Society of Beefsteaks, yes, they kindly offer to initiate some of their newer members by catering for our feasts on a regular basis.
Well, you see, they invited us over almost like family. It was lovely, but as one of them was talking to us, they just poof, and they were gone. Poof.
More sort of splut.
Carl looks at Lucy's bloodied robes. Yes, splut.
The figure catches you look at Lucy and says, sorry, I thought that was some form of fashion statement, I suppose.
Not this time.
This is worrying. What happened to the figure after? Have they reappeared? They reformed? Did they transmute? Perhaps they're in a higher state of consciousness. People don't just explode and that. I don't even want to say the word. People don't just explode and die in Troika. It's part of why you're here. Nobody's died in Troika for some time.
I mean, that's not strictly possible, is it? Especially given how incredibly dangerous the place is.
Dangerous?
Toxic gas, psychopathic mandrills, exploding meat stirrers.
Tigers in lifts.
tigers in lifts.
Well-behaved tigers. Mostly.
Well-behaved tigers until enraged by a monkey.
I think perhaps the levels of danger to which you're referring aren't quite the same as what I would expect to be considered real danger. There's no real danger in Troika.
There was live polka music on the roof. In my mind, that is extremely dangerous.
Everybody loves polka music.
Maybe in Troika,
Well,
where I'm from, it's
not anymore.
Is he the last of the great polkas? I hope so. In my homeland, it's outlawed in my homeland. Polka, dreadful music.
They've been a resident of Troika for some time. They will be. You jest, but they will be dearly missed by many.
But you said no one dies.
Are you suggesting they died?
Yeah.
They did. You killed them, which is why you're here. I suppose. Don't get me wrong. This is I'm no judge. This is not for me to pass judgment. This is more of a how can we avoid this happening again?
Slap on the wrist and a tag around the ankle, you mean? That sort of thing.
If need be. But I'd like to think, looking at the two of you, that there is more hope. And perhaps this can be put down to a new situation for the both of you that you found yourselves in, and perhaps bad decisions were made on both parts. And he looks over to Hugo at that point.
I think I can promise that we're not going to kill another poltergeist, if that's what you mean.
Well, you can promise that.
I think I can promise that I'm not going to kill another poltergeist, if that's what you mean.
I would much rather you both promise never to kill anybody whilst in Troika again. Certainly in Troika proper, once you've travelled on to a different sphere, planet, reality, then that's not a problem at all. Your business is your own, and I wouldn't dare intervene, nor could I. But we like to offer. It's a safe haven. It's a place to avoid the dangers of travel directly between spheres. It's a stopover. We offer free accommodation, free food, free drink. Only the highest luxuries are sold on by third parties.
Free poison gas, free murderous tigers.
The gaseous cloud is much like you, a traveller between spheres. We're accommodating to all life forms.
Speaking of things being free, sir, I didn't get your name. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, I should have introduced myself. I'm Alan.
Alan. Just Alan?
Yes.
Well, Alan, you say things were free, but in order to put right the concerned tigers after their tails were tugged by one of Hugo's employees, and I know we don't want to keep going over this, but to put things right, I had to pay off the trainer, which, of course, in a place where everything is free, I wasn't expecting to, and it would be nice as part of our happy meeting here, and hopefully you will not be seeing us again. Let's put it this way. It would be nice to leave reimbursed for that. If the tiger's tail had not been pulled in the first place, I feel a lot of this would not have happened.
They pause for a minute. Look like they're sort of concentrating on something. Whilst I would reassert that is a third party transaction between you and the Tiger trainer, I'm happy for Troika to accept responsibility for this. How much did you reimburse?
That's very kind of you. I paid 8 pieces of silver.
Very well. It shall be yours once we're done here.
Thank you kindly.
But I am more concerned with this this fellow of the Sublime Society. Tell me, would you... This doesn't have to be our only meeting. Would you be happy to investigate this as some form of some way to put right, or at least to prove that you're on the right track into helping your fellow residents of Troika?
You'd like us to investigate the goop that's all over my robe?
Well, I'd like you to find out whether this entity still exists, whether they are indeed passed on, and if so, how on earth this has managed to happen right under my very nose.
Well, I mean,
you don't need to, and it won't affect the outcome of our meeting here. It would go away to some good faith.
I must confess, I am curious about how much such a service would be worth to you.
Now, see, the thing about overseeing a hotel that doesn't charge people for money for for a stay or for food or for travel or for any other services that we provide is that it's not particularly lucrative. I am willing to reimburse you. What money is of little importance to me here, as it is little importance in Troika, unless you're meeting someone for something. How much would you suggest is an appropriate fee?
Well, I don't really know. If it cost 8 pence to buy off an enraged tiger trainer, I feel we should receive at least 8 each for this service.
Done.
You okay with that, Carl?
No, so I'll be receiving 16 from Alan. That feels like a good day's work.
All right. Then, on that basis, I'm happy to exert some efforts to see what I can find out, with no guarantee that there'll be anything useful at the end of it, of course.
No, of course. Ideally, I would like the proviso that no further incidents will result in any deaths whilst in Troika.
There is one thing, Alan. One of the fellows of the Sublime Society of the Beefsteaks, a gentleman by the name of Joe, said that he thought a member may be cursed. So there may be more of this without us having blood on our hands, if that makes sense. So we can't promise no more death, of course, in that regard.
No, that is fair. I would say that any deaths not directly caused by you will not be held accountable for. I would not expect that. Who would? That seems very unreasonable.
I'm going to cast a glance over towards Lance.
Yes.
And say to him, do you have any need for 8 pence?
As you look over towards Lance, he looks incredibly bored. He's sort of holding out his lance, almost trying to poke one of the white walls, but it never actually reaches. He looks back towards you, shakes his head and shrugs.
Well, it does sound like we have a quest, which might be up your alley a bit.
The mention of quest, he still very much stands to attention. Puts the lance in the crook of his hand and starts clapping with some energy. It's quite excitable.
I turn back to Alan and say, Lance is in.
It looks like we're going on an adventure after all.
Well then, I think that all but concludes business here. Any further parties? And he looks over to Hugo. Level 42 and the demon hunter, was it? We'll don't worry, I'll make sure that they're dealt with in the appropriate fashion for their actions.
Alan, is the demon hunter from Troika, or are they from another sphere? Have you seen them around before?
No. They're not from here. They're from a different world.
Is this the first you've heard of them at all? They did talk to us after all, so.
I know their group. I believe it's the first time that sort of concentrates off for a minute and then comes back to you. So I think it's the first time Sasha has visited Troika. I believe her first mission. A poorly chosen one. You'll come to find as you travel between spheres that words have a wide array of meaning between the different spheres. A demon in one world may be very different to a demon in another.
I note that the meaning of the word hotel can be quite different depending on where one is.
Precisely.
On the subject of which, Alan, Hugo, I'm going to be possibly here for a little while then. I wasn't expecting to be. Can you arrange for me to have a room?
Oh, is the floor at the bottom of my bed not good enough for you, Lucy? I have eggs.
I have eggs. Egg.
Egg.
Hugo looks like they're sort of trying to think of a reason not to.
I'm pretty sure you have a vacancy. I'll take the room the Poltergeist was staying in.
Oh.
Alan looks at you and says, "The Poltergeist actually lived below the bar. There is actually no entrance as such. I believe you saw their phasing as part of their performance. But we can. I'm sure Hugo can find a suitable room for you, close to their friend Hugo."
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Yes, but of course. Well then, if there's nothing else, and Alan stands up, if you've no other questions for me.
Just one. Who did your parents like you, Alan? I'm concerned with the choosing of your name, or did you choose it yourself?
I feel both of those are very personal questions that are perhaps perhaps better answered another time. And he holds out his arms and takes a bow. And then there is a puff of smoke, and he's gone.
Looks like you're getting a room, Lucy.
Well, apparently. So, is Hugo still there?
Yep, Hugo is still with you. Lance is still with you, and Hugo says, "Yes, very well, madam. I shall. I'll arrange for the room. One down, I think, will be from your friend. Will be able to accommodate a move."
That sounds fine. When you say one down, do you mean one down the corridor, one down the corridor in an upward direction, one floor down?
Yes.
Excellent.
And then within minutes of any conversation that you wish to have, but it doesn't take too long, and all of a sudden there is a darkness that engulfs the space in which you are stood or sat, and you instantaneously find yourselves back on the roof of the Blancmange and Thistle Hotel at the feast of the Chili Arch.
The party's still going on.
The part. It's funny you should say that, Ben. You look around and the party is still going on. There's a different performer on, or performers, I should say, on the stage. There's a group of 4 people who all look identical to each other, almost as if they've been made from the same genetics. Singing what I can only describe as barbershop quartet music, but no words, just bird tweets in different pitches for each of them.
Lucy, now we're talking about this is good stuff.
I mean, it's not country music. I didn't throw that at you guys, but the crowd is very much enjoying it. They're into the swing of things. You can see Sasha is somewhere stood over near the edge where there's sort of like a makeshift bar set up with a group of friends. They're laughing and raising the glass every so often. There's a grumpy looking mandra who's mopping up a red puddle, formerly known as Jeremiah. If you take in the whole roof, you can see Joe is sat in the corner, sort of staring into the distance and holding on to a pile of red dripping clothes. Jane is busying herself at the barbecue grill, and you would notice that there is no John, and the Hugo has gone, as has the lift mandrel. They're not anywhere to be seen on the roof. The fireworks have all but stopped. It's very intermittent and certainly nothing that directly takes your attention as being aimed at your roof. But here you find yourselves. There is a lovely smell of barbecue food. There's lots of people having drinks, listening to the music.
Can I use my detect monkey skill to see if I can spot any other mandrills on the roof other than the one who's doing the mopping up?
Yeah, you can certainly attempt to, yeah. Give me a detect monkey roll.
Okay, so
first roll. An hour
First
in.
roll.
I have level 1 effectively, don't I? Because I've only got 1 tick beside it.
Yep. So this is going to be a roll under. I'll give you that there is no monkeys actually trying to hide from you, in which case it'd be a roll versus. So 2d6 under 2 or equal to your skill plus your detect monkey.
Okay, my skill is 6, detect monkey is 1, so that's 7. Equal to or less than 7.
Indeed.
That's actually not too bad. That is a 6 total. So, are there any other monkeys of note?
You look around, and at first glance you didn't notice, but sat next to Joe. Yeah, sat next to Joe in the corner. There is there's a there's a baboon sat there with their fist on their chin, staring off into the distance, and every now and then you can see his lips move and Joe's lips move. And
like his chin on his fist with his elbow on his knee.
yeah, precisely. That's the pose. I don't know how you guessed that, Ben.
It's like I have special powers. What can I tell you?
Hey,
I do have detect monkey as an actual special skill for my character.
indeed.
So, that's excellent news. Right. In that case, with no other mandrills going for my throat or anything, and to be fair, I think I only had issue with one specific mandrill. I'm going to nod to Carl and say, I'm going to go over and see the scene of the crime.
Okay. See what you can learn. I'm going to head over to speak to Sasha and her friends.
Okay. And I shall head to the meat stirring pot table kebab barbecue place.
Yeah, perfect. Do either of you particularly call Lance after you, or you just leave them be?
As long as I know where he is, I don't think I will encourage him to necessarily follow me.
Okay.
He likes you more, doesn't he, Lucy? I think he tends to follow you more, given the choice.
That's fine. If he follows, it's not a problem.
Well, I will tell you this: at this point, given no other direction or requests, they will run straight over to the table full of food and start
Okay.
throwing bits of meat into their lifted up visor of darkness.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. You're going to the scene of the crime.
The glupification.
Crime? Maybe
Yep.
crime. Let's go with Carl first then. As you approach Sasha, you see that they're very happy. Their uniform is slightly different. They've got like a couple of little pips on their robes now that they were wearing over their vestments. And the group of people that they're with, there's about 4 of them. They're all wearing the same, and they have the same pips on. And every now and then and they'll raise their glasses, and some form of alcohol will flow out everywhere from it. And they'll all, hug each other, and they're talking battle talk, basically.
Good evening, Sasha. Good evening, everybody.
Oh, hello. Hi. Carl, was it?
Yeah, why not? Let's go with Carl. Those are some lovely pips there, Sasha. You didn't have those last time I saw you.
They pause for a minute. Wait, I'm sorry. When did we meet?
Well, we met earlier this evening. Do you remember the? There was a being, a poltergeist, I believe.
They look down at both your hands. I remember. I remember a poltergeist, but I can tell you now, friend, that I've had these pips all evening. The 5 of us have come from a different sphere where we slew the poltergeist.
That's very interesting.
It was my initiation.
To slay the poltergeist. Well, Carl looks to one of the others and says, "Were you there when Sasha slayed the poltergeist? Did you see this happen?"
This lady in the similar vestments, who's a fair amount, not as tall as you, but a fair amount taller than Sasha, looks back to you and says, "Yeah, of course we were. We went with her. Somebody has to oversee the deeds." Luke, can you make an awareness roll for me, please?
I can make an awareness roll. Oh, I've got some skill with that. Okay, cool.
It's a. Actually, no. This would be a versus.
I've got to go high on this, haven't I? Right,
Yeah. So add your 2d6 to your awareness plus your skill total.
Okay. 13 in total then.
Ooh.
Yeah, you definitely pass. So you can put a tick next to that if you don't have a tick next to it.
Oh, I've got 4 next to it
Ben,
now.
I believe you also just the one will suffice, but that's all good. Ben, also for your
Thank
detect
you.
monkey, if you
I will
didn't
add a
already.
tick to my detect monkey. Yes.
It's a bit of a retroactive one, but you noticed them earlier on in the evening before you met with Alan. You noticed them as a member. They weren't wearing their vestments, but they were a member of the crowd on the rooftop. So the lady that you pushed, and they were wearing white vestments, I think at the time, or white clothes, and they got beef stews built all over them. This is the same person dressed differently.
I wish I'd pushed her harder now. So tell me, if you don't mind speaking to an outsider, how did you, if you have time, please tell me the tale of how you vanquished this evil demon.
Well, of course, I'm not allowed. Are you speaking to Sasha?
Yeah.
They say I'm not allowed to recruit any of the other members of my now clan, but I managed to gain the help of a couple of farmers on the world who had need of somebody to dispose of a poltergeist that was haunting one of their barns. They very kindly helped me encircle the barn with this, and they tap on their hip. They've got a pouch. This secret formula powder. Encircle the demon with such a thing, and it will fall to silver or spells that are cast. We all encircled the barn whilst the poltergeist was inside, and then stormed in. And well, they laugh. The rest is history, and they all cheers a big glass of whatever it is they're holding, and take a drink.
Well, good for you all. Good for you. What a wonderful tale of daring do and glory. I'm sure such an event is an important part of your tradition and your pledge, I suppose, all of you. Sounds like a truly glorious time.
Slightly older, grizzled looking man who's got very leathery skin turns to you and says, good for everybody, my friend. There's one less demon in the spheres. And they all raise a glass again, and drink splashes everywhere.
You see, I myself have killed a demon in my days, so I know how it feels. I want to stare unflinchingly into Sasha's eyes. I say it.
How are you dressed at the minute?
I am dressed as so what I've got on, I've got my black clothes of the apprentice underneath, but over it I've got like the sort of some slight robage that I've been wearing to cover up a little bit. But I will quite happily pull back the robe somewhat to show off, the black braced side down one bit. Which also has my curved sword down that side, and a bit more business down that side, I guess.
The grizzled old man in particular starts to let out quite a roaring laugh when you first say this, but as you pull back your cloak and they see your clothes and your curved sword, they hold themselves and stop and think, Tell me, what demon did you slay, friend?
Well, It told me its name. It was. It may have been lying, of course, but it said that it was a poltergeist. It may have been lying, of course, but it could certainly play.
Ghostly figure
Very much.
passing through things, playing
Absolutely.
polka music.
Through floors.
That's a poltergeist.
Yes.
Here, let me get you a drink, and they pour you a glass of very thick, gloopy green liquid that almost sort of shimmers, I guess, unnaturally without the movement of the liquid, and passes it over to you.
Is it from a stash they've been drinking from?
Yeah. Well, there's sort of like a table down the other end of the food that's got a wide selection of drinks on it. It's sort of sat on that table, but they're very much set up home here. This looks like, not they're guarding it, but it looks like they've established their territory, I suppose, if you will.
I'll reach into my down the side. I've got a silver ladle. It'll take me a second to reach it 'cause it's the bottom of my list, I guess. But I'm not in combat, so I assume I can fiddle around with it.
Yeah.
And I sort of reach under my robe and I pull out the silver ladle, which was the thing that I clonked over the head with to start with, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I shall wave it and I'll say, "This is the very tool that that allowed me to gain an upper hand." And I'll pour the drink into the ladle, and I'll chug it back from the silver ladle.
To which they all raise a glass and cheers each other and let out a big cheer, like roar. Well, a fine chalice it is then, if it's such a mighty weapon.
Did you say I've still got some a slight bloody smear across me? Did you say I've got Lucy's covered, right? And I've got a bit of a smear.
Yeah. Just I think Lance gave you a hug, and some of it rubbed off before they'd cleaned themselves up.
Is it totally dried up, or is it slightly tacky still?
Still a bit tacky.
Okay. As I'm drinking, I'd like to rub my hand through it to get some luck on my gloved fingers. He's got cut off gloves. He's so cool like that, you know. So sort of on the fingertips.
Yeah.
And he'll sort of stand and he'll say, "Well, I must be going, but congratulations to you all." And I want to sort of lean into Sasha and slap her hard on the shoulder. Are the pips where are the pips on her?
So they're
got it.
Here, above the chest, but not actually on the shoulder.
Between a Star Trek combat collar. Yes. I'll sort of put my hand there to sort of slap there to leave the bloody mark across the pips if I can. And say, "Enjoy your evening, all of you. Congratulations on your hunt."
The rest of them all wave you off and seem quite energetic, and Sasha's sort of looking down at her new pips, rubbing them off, and turns to one of them and says something. But you've kind of gone by that point.
Cool. I'm happy with my closure there.
Wonderful. Perfect. In which case, we'll head over to Lucy, who is heading over to the mandrill, mopping up puddles of red on the floor.
Yes, indeed. Now,
is that right?
Yes. Essentially right there where our unfortunate friend exploded.
Yeah.
First things first, I'd like to take a bit of a recce as I approach to see if fundamentally what's being mopped up does look like blood, or if there's anything weird about it.
Let's. I'm going to say this is going to require. Actually, no, it's not. It's fine. There is. It looks like blood. There is nothing weird that you can detect.
Okay.
By looking at it, or the way it's being mopped around or pushed around. Maybe there's a slightly higher iron content than you'd expect. They've been eating a lot of beef. What can I say?
Yeah.
Exactly what we'd expect.
I will walk over and clear my throat next to the mandrill and try to catch its attention as politely as possible.
Of course, you walk over and you clear your throat, and then the mandrill looks up from their mopping and says, sort of adjusts their very grumpy looking face and says, "Oh, I'm terribly sorry, sir," and sort of steps back as if to make way to let you walk past without getting in the blood.
No, please. I just wanted to ask a question or two, if I might.
But of course.
I was right here when the incident happened, and a person with whom I was having a conversation suddenly became a shower of bodily fluid.
Yes, very unfortunate accident, so I hear.
Well, I mean, unfortunate, I concur. Accident, I'm not as certain about, because I'm not aware of any prior instance that I know of that someone could accidentally liquefy.
Yes, one does take Sir's point, Madam's point. Liquefaction is a new one, certainly. I mean, people spontaneously combust all the time, of course, but just they gesture at the puddle. This is rather unusual.
You haven't seen anything like this before?
No, madam. No.
I must confess it's new to me as well. I found it quite startling. And
I hope to never see it again.
So do I. I also found it somewhat dampening. Do you have such a thing as cleaning supplies that might help me remove the remains of my erstwhile friend from my vestments?
They hang their head a little bit solemnly at the thought of it being a close friend to you, and they say, "Apologies, madam, not to hand. However, if you're staying at the hotel, please just leave your clothes at the foot of your door, and they will be returned clean in the morning if you wish. I shall see to it personally."
Thank you. That's very kind. I will sort of give a sort of a deep nod to the mandrill in question, and so as to make it clear that I'm done questioning the poor creature. It's no fun mopping up the remains of people. I have a non-magical skill called Second Sight.
Yes.
Are you asking that, or are you just showing off to the mandrill?
No, sorry. As in not a spell, but a specific talent that I have.
Mm-hmm.
Can I, from pretty much directly where the incident happened, glance around and see if I can detect anything magical that might have some impact on why someone would suddenly, frankly, Cuisinart?
Yes. Whilst I'm looking up the exact preciseties of second sight, Luke, just out of housekeeping, as you were going through your backpack to look for your silver ladle or wherever it was kept, you do in fact come across 8 silver pieces. So feel free to mark those down.
Thank you very much.
In fact, no, sorry, you come across 10
16.
silver pieces.
10, 6, 10. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not
Yeah,
going to
so
get
got
all
two.
paid before.
Yeah, of course.
You would imagine it's not all paid up front, but you do get an extra 2 for expenses if there are any. And Lucy, you will indeed find 2 whenever you go through your pockets.
Okay.
Oh wait, so that's on top of the ones I've got. I've got 10 in total because I had 2.
You had 2 already. You
Yeah.
will be given 10. So
Cool, 12. Thank you.
Alan has advanced you 2 on the job that you have.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Said
So
you would do for him.
So I will find an extra 2 on top of the.
Yes.
I think it's 6. I have. Yes, I have 6.
Yeah, precisely. And Ben, if you could make a second sight test for me. So roll under or equal to your skill plus your second sight.
Which
number.
is under or equal to 7. And it is exactly 7.
Wonderful. Well, first things first, you can put a tick next to it if you don't already have a tick next to it.
I do not. That's my first second sight roll. My second first sight roll.
And then you focus your inner eye, however that looks for Lucy.
It
You
probably
reach
had
out.
something to do with waggling the ears, I suspect.
I'd hope so.
So Lucy's ears start to waggle, and she starts to see beyond the plains of this realm. You can, of course, still see the distant other blancmange and thistle rooftops. There is quite a lot of magic going around. The blood itself has some. It's weird. You looked at it before, and you look at it now, and there's almost some pulsating darker patches within it. They're definitely moving, almost swimming in the way that a single-celled organism would swim through something. It's kind of flexing out in a butterfly type movement.
Okay.
And then moving forward very slowly, very subtle, but it's there.
On seeing this, can I say to the mandrill, stop a moment, will you? And then look along the table for some kind of clean container, a glass, a cup, a bottle ideally.
The mandrill says, but of course, man, whatever you wish. And you can look along the table. There are a series of empty bottles. They're not necessarily all clean. You can sort of see they've either got like a very thick, goopy, colourful residue on them, or some of them have, sort of the outline of alcohol where it's been left on the glass. That's very slowly running down, slower than you or I would expect.
Very viscous.
Yeah, but not necessarily clean.
I'm going to try to take as clean a bottle as I can find. It doesn't have to be perfect. And just scoop up a few drops of the blood with some of these dark swimmer things in it, if possible.
Okay, yeah, that's totally possible. It's not an entirely clean bottle, but it is relatively clean. They're all sort of cork stoppered of some variety. So you can pop a cork out and you can. It's how are you scooping up they're all sort of thin neck, not necessarily wide bottle. You can find a variety. Some of them will be sort of spherical and wide, and some will be longer and thinner. I'm not necessarily saying it'll be easy to scoop a puddle off the floor.
I suspect. Well, I'm hoping since this is next to a food service table, I will probably try to see if I can find a spoon to scoop up some of the blood and tip it into the bottle. If I can't see something like that, then I shall use the knife from my pocket.
Yeah, no, perfect. That works. There's definitely some large tablespoons on the table, which are in. If you think of a large tablespoon, you could probably fit 2 of the blobs in, so you can definitely get one, and probably a
Okay.
couple more if you want, and some of the blood that isn't affected.
Okay. Once I have it in the bottle, I would like to say to the mandrill, please don't continue cleaning just yet. I may need to do another sample of this. And then can I take a drop of my poison 3, whatever that is, and drop it into the bottle and see if it affects the swimmery things?
Yeah, you can. Now I've got to look
Yeah.
at poison skills.
Oh man, it's got very scientific.
I know, not what I was expecting.
I'm doing
to have
biochemistry here.
The mandrill looks at you and says, but madam, this does need to be cleaned up. It's
Of course, I do understand, but please give me a moment. I just need to test something quickly.
They look at you somewhat untrustingly at this point, I would say. You got any relevant monkey skills, Ben?
I've got lie to monkey.
Are you lying to monkey?
I am not, but I suspect I may have to create a new skill called Persuade Monkey.
Go on then. Give me a Persuade Monkey roll, which currently is 0.
Currently is
Plus
0.
your skill. So
Persuade
roll
monkey roll.
under 2 or equal to your skill.
That's a 5.
Yes.
The skill of 6.
You persuade that monkey.
Ooh, all the monkeys.
That means I now have lie to monkey, detect monkey, enrage monkey, and persuade monkey as skills.
You've got very focused skill set.
The mopping mandrill looks at you and puts their mop down and says, "If you look after my mop, I'm due a break. I'll be back in 5 minutes."
Excellent. That works perfectly. Thank you.
And they wander off. And you can indeed drop. How much of the dose of poison are you putting in?
I think I'll start. There's only a small amount of blood in the bottle, a tablespoonful. So I think I'll just start with a drop.
Okay. You put a drop in, and there's no immediate change. It still looks very much the same to you. Through your second sight, the blob still moves around.
Okay. Then I shall stop at the bottle, please. And put it in my rucksack.
Yeah.
I shall clean off the knife and return that to my pocket.
Wonderful. You can note down in your inventory: bottle of blood with drop of poison.
Bottle of blood, drop of poison, swimmery thing.
And find a slot for it.
I will, yes. I suspect I will put that at the bottom, to be honest. Doesn't sound like something I'm going to need in a hurry.
No, that makes perfect sense.
Okay, and I will.
And you have the bottle with a sample of blood and a tiny amount of poison in.
Yes, thank you. Okay, that's fine. I shall do that. I didn't catch anything else as I looked around. I mean, you said there was magic everywhere, but there was nothing. I'm particularly interested in any other members of the guild of barbecue sauce stirrers or whatever they were called, who might be around.
Right. If you specifically focus in on them, I mean, there's magic everywhere, but it tends to be, people are wearing bits and bobs, and each of the hotels off in the distance gives a bit of a hue off, as does the rooftop that you're currently standing on. But if you look specifically at them, they do not give you any signs of anything magic.
Okay.
Neither does the barbecue, the meat, or any of the utensils. For that
Fair
matter.
enough. Then, if I may, I will walk over to where that group is and introduce myself as I approach. I will say,
Which one are you going to? Sorry, let me just double check. Joe is sat over at the corner by himself. Jane is at the grill at the barbecue, and John is nowhere to be seen.
I will start with Jane then, if I may, please.
Wonderful. You walk over. She nods over to you as you approach.
Hello, I'm terribly sorry for your loss.
They sort of steel themselves a bit and say, "That's very kind of you. Thank you." Jeremiah was a good friend, a great griller.
Oh, you're good with monkeys.
Not so much apes, though.
No.
Are you hungry? Would you like? There's plenty of food to go around. We've just finished the ribs, and they hold up a hook with a long rack of oddly greenish looking ribs, but they look good.
I
Smells
will have a rib, if I may. Thank you. That's very kind of you.
Of course, and she sort of slaps it down on a wooden block they've got next to the grill and slices through a few and gestures to you to help yourself.
I will indeed do that. I will help myself to a couple of ribs.
Perfect, and she slides the rest of them onto the very end of the table of food. And says, "Oh, I hope you enjoy them. They were Jeremiah's specialty, but we've done the best we can in his absence."
They are delicious. Thank you. I don't wish to put you on the spot or say anything that would make you uncomfortable, but I mean, Jeremiah's frankly unexpected transition into, well, mostly fluid. You haven't seen anything like that happen before, have you?
Unfortunately, it's been a bit of a I think problem is probably understating the severity of it, but it has happened to members of our society recently.
A large number of members?
There's been to date. There's been 2 other cases.
Oh. And I heard a reference to the fact that Jeremiah might have been subject to some form of curse.
No, now listen. Was that? Who told you that? Was that John?
Well, I mean, I don't like to gossip.
She sort of takes a step away from the barbecue and gets close to you, not in an aggressive way, but just lowers her voice and says that there's some people in our society who think this is a curse. It's unexplained. We've consulted some wise people about this. Not my preferred wise person, but we've consulted some people, and they can't explain it, which leads people to get worried. People think it's a curse. John thinks it's a curse. There's several people out there that think John is the curse. I think he was near 2 of the 3, including Jeremiah. But there's no proof of that. It's just hearsay. It's people explaining the unexplainable. We all deal with things in different ways. Look at Joe over there, and you can see Joe has stood up from his chair. He's holding a bottle, and is sort of like leant over the side of the building. Now Joe figures that he could go at any time now, so he thinks he's living life to the fullest. That's his way of dealing with it. Other people, they invent curses. It may be true, it might not. I'm holding judgment for some proof, or at least until someone decides to call in Dalton.
I see. I mean, I don't believe, personally, there is any such thing as the inexplicable. There is simply the not yet explained. And I am worried that if your group is suddenly experiencing liquefaction, acute liquefaction, one might say, then perhaps the benefit of having someone look into it who has medical skills, scientific or possibly magical training might be able to help out with this.
See, when I say we have had wise people look into this, we've certainly seen our fair of genetics experts. We've certainly seen our fair share of soothsayers. We've certainly seen our fair share of people trained in the magical arts, and it appears nobody has put an answer on it that's been duplicated by another. There have been answers given, but not one that, when we saw another soothsayer, that they would also agree on, which feels, I'm going to be honest, it feels like we're being taken for a ride as a society.
Well, it's possible. It's possible.
Sorry,
but there is another way of looking at it, which is that there is always another way of looking at it. If you put a dice in the middle of a table and ask each person what number they can see, they'll be looking at the same dice, but they'll give you a different number. The perception you bring by where you stand can impact what you say. The same thing, if explored by a medical professional, will give a different answer to someone who approaches it as a philosopher. So I do have to ask, and I feel very strongly about this, did any of those people suggest that there was some form of magical parasite in the blood that might be causing it?
Why would you say that? She gets quite... There's a noticeable change in atmosphere, in her speech pattern and the way that she is communicating with you. And I don't want to halt this, Ben, but it feels like a good time to take a break because I'm bursting.
Yes,
frankly.
Okay. Let's do that. Yes, of course.
But we will be back in 5 to potentially find out what Lucy has uncovered. Uncovered? Maybe not.
Lucy's gone straight for the jugular. I like this.
Very direct.
Not even phased by the philosophizing baboon. Surprised there were no takers on that.
You would have been Ewan if you weren't GMing tonight. You went straight over to the baboon. Lucy's made of stronger stuff. Okay, hang on. Let me click this thing. It should be on. It should be on. We'll see you all in 5 minutes. Good evening, everyone. We're back. Sorry, the break was a little bit longer than planned, but Ewan was showing us his latest trick of tying a cherry stem in a knot with his tongue, which is very exciting, and hopefully one day he'll show the rest of you too. But anyway, let's get back to the task at hand.
Jane suddenly became very agitated or quite different in look when I made the comment.
Yes, she did. You made the comment about magical blobs in the blood, and she looks back at you and she, who have you been talking to? Where'd you get that information?
I obtained it myself by looking at the remains of Jeremiah.
She peers at you for a long period of time. You haven't been talking to one of our old members, have you?
I don't know any of your old members, unless you count Jeremiah.
And you can see now she's very much changed, and she says, "Well, you'd have trouble talking to him. I suppose. It's been mentioned. Somebody brought it up. One of our problem members who has left the group due to should we say artistic differences before any of this started.
This person didn't become vegetarian or something.
Well, I don't think so. They funnily enough, they work in a water distillery plant over on do you know Mayang's Misstep?
I don't.
It's a moon that orbits one of the spheres of world. But that's not an important. They
Tough. Spelling, please. Spelling, please. We need it. It's canon. Come on. Canon requires spelling.
Oh, Luke. It's MYUNG.
MYUNG. Yep.
Apostrophe S. MISSTEP.
MISSTEP. Cool.
Mine was misstep. Yeah.
They look at you and say, "Well, that's not really important, I suppose." They were a nice person. When I say problem member, they weren't. There was no ill feeling between the majority of the group and them. In fact, they were very close to Jeremiah at the time. But they did decode a book that they'd found somewhere, and they were preaching prophecies of the end of the fellowship and a magical blood. I'm not saying the word. Oh, are you still there, Ben?
Yes.
Yes.
She says,
thing.
Yeah, she says, "I'm not saying the word curse, but a magical blood infection, should we say?" They said that's what this prophecy foretold.
Well, I hate to tell you this, but I don't know anything about the book or Mayung's Misstep, and I've never spoken to your old member. But I do have some talents when it comes to magic, and there were definitely magical parasites of some kind swimming in the blood that is all that is left of Jeremiah.
She looks at you and your fairs and your staff with intricate. It's cogs, isn't it? And
yes, machinery of various kinds.
Yeah. Sort of nods slowly. I can believe your you're magically inclined. I tell you what, you should speak to them. You should speak to Johannes Dalton. He was Johannes when he was with the Fellowship. We all changed our names. Something about Jays, but when he left, somewhat frustrated with leadership, that no one would take him seriously, he reverted to his original name, Dalton Valentine.
Oh.
Dalton Valentine. And he can be found at Mayung's Misstep, you say?
Yes. Well, that's the last place we anyone that we know heard from him. That's where he was.
Very interesting. I do have one more question. You are a little more familiar with this place than I am myself. This is my first visit. When it comes time to leave, to go anywhere, how exactly do we do that?
Wow, you really haven't been here before. Otherwise, I suppose you wouldn't have gone anywhere. You purely need to think of the destination.
Really?
If you're not thinking, you may end up wherever Troika decides it feels as though you need to go. Much the same as when you arrive, Troika assigns you a blancmange and thistle, to which there is some need for you to be there, or you have some want, or it fulfills your needs. And if your thoughts are absent when you leave of a destination, then Troika will try to fulfill your needs, whatever it thinks they are.
Thank you. That's very helpful. I believe I will go to Mayung's Misstep and see if I can learn from this Dalton what was in that book, in case there's useful information that might be used to stop any more of your members beginning to rapidly evaporate. I think that's well worth doing. I will do my best to come back here in time to make sure that nobody else suffers such an unpleasant and, frankly, ridiculous fate.
As you're saying this, and she's sort of nodding in agreement, you hear a come from your side, and as you turn, you see Hugo is stood there. He holds out a key for you, which you may. This is your room, madam.
Thank you. That's kind of you.
And also, Alan has kindly asked if you could get your friend to leave the segment of tablecloth which they had. It's got some sentimental value, but you can keep the silver ladle.
I will mention it.
Very good. And he turns and leaves.
Of course. Good flashback.
I will cast a glance over to see if I can catch sight of Lance. Is he? I assume he's a relatively visible and obvious person.
He's certainly. I mean, there's a lot of colours and a lot of unique figures still on the rooftop, although it is dying down somewhat. But he is very much one of those. You can see him still at the table, honking chunks of barbecued meat.
Excellent. Then I shall nod to Jane and wander off to rejoin Carl, if I may.
You may.
So as I approach Carl, I'll just check. Is he? Are you still in conversation,
No,
Carl?
I'll
Or
be
have you...
long done. I'd imagine I'd probably finished that while you were just after you finished mopping up blood. So I'd headed back over to gaze slightly dispassionately at the tweeting barbershop quartet.
Okay, then I shall join you there, and I shall say, Carl, I have some information that may be relevant.
Hmm. I would say I'm all ears, but I'm enjoying the tunes. But I'll open one ear to the information unless you wish to share it elsewhere.
I think if we keep our voices down, there is a former member of the Meat Botherers Guild, Johannes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Having left the guild, he's resumed his original identity. He goes by Dalton Valentine, and
Valentine.
it's a name to conjure with, and I should know. I conjure. But here's the thing. He apparently can be found at a place called Mayung's Misstep.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he, a former member of the guild, who's apparently quite likable but nonetheless left over philosophical differences, some kind of creative conundrum. He had apparently identified within some book that there was a mystical blood infection that could, in some circles, be considered some form of a curse.
A mystical blood infection, you say? You mean
That's what I say.
there's something in the blood? Have you seen this yourself?
Well, this is something that I would normally have assumed was the rantings of an enraged sous chef, but it turns out that I have indeed spotted exactly the same problem myself. In the mortal remains of Jeremiah, there are small, dark, moving, living creatures that give off a magical aura.
A magical aura. Hmm. Sounds like you've been doing some good snooping.
I think in order to prevent any danger of infecting Johannes or Dalton, as he now goes by apparently,
Mr. Valentine.
indeed, in order to avoid any risk of infecting him, I should return to my room and allow for my robes to be properly cleaned by the staff here, since I have to assume the blood on the robes will also contain this infective organism, perhaps.
It's a good. You know, Lucy. I always think you look very fine and well turned out, but I must say you do look quite dishevelled as it stands.
I'm going to just show him the room key with the relevant number on it, and say, "So this is where I'm going next.
Mm-hmm.
I have been informed by a helpful and frankly brilliant mandrill that if I just leave my robes outside the door, they will be cleaned and returned to me forthwith.
That's what they all say.
Mm-hmm. We'll try. And since I have no other mechanism of cleaning them properly myself, then that's the one I'm going to try. I may also take a little bit of a rest and possibly juggle my egg for a while. If the opportunity arises, you might want to apprise um, Alan or possibly Hugo of the fact that we have a lead. And then, if you're up to it, perhaps after a short rest, we can take a trip to Mayung's Misstep.
Carl sort of looks around at the weirdness that's going on. He looks back at at the group with Sasha going on as if what he had done and is sitting on his conscience was nothing at all. I'll be honest, I'd be very happy to leave here. I'd feel out of place. I feel squished at the edges and pulled out from the inside. Asleep, an egg or two to eat, maybe a breakfast or a quick drink at the bar, and I'm good. I'm very happy to leave.
Okay. Unless you have a specific need for him, I would like to borrow Lance to stand guard over my robes until they're collected by a mandrill.
Please do. Please take Lance. If you can drag him away from the meat. I just saw him put 3 like rotisserie chickens down there in a row. I don't know where he puts it. Into the void, I guess. No wonder he's never full up.
No wonder indeed. He does seem, frankly, empty most of the time. Okay, then I will bid you farewell. I will come and collect you, or you come and collect me. And I will set off towards Lance, please.
Wonderful. At this point, the feast is very much dying down. There's still a few groups of people hanging around, drinking and chatting and catching up, but the fireworks have definitely stopped. The vast array of other hotel roofs that were off in the distance and up above, and if you look over the side, now faint hues and have almost completely vanished out of the vista on top of this hotel. But you can indeed make your way over to Lance.
Lance,
sorry.
Do you have a moment?
He finishes chucking in a whole rib, bone and all, and it ding, 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 and pulls down his visor and turns to you, nods.
I have a sort of a mission for you. It's not a very exciting one, but it's important. I need you to come and stand guard outside my bedroom door. Not specifically to guard me, but to guard the robes I'm wearing, which I will be placing on the floor outside that door. They are to be collected by a mandrill who will take them away to be cleaned and will then return them to me. It is very important that nobody else, other than the staff at the hotel, touch them, because they may contain something dangerous. There may be something dangerous in the blood that they're splattered with. Do you understand?
Beats his chest and nods at you.
Excellent. Then to the lift we must go. And I shall lead him to the lift.
Wonderful. If you remember, the last section up to the hotel roof was a set of stairs.
Oh, that's right. The very last floor, wasn't it? Yes. Then I shall lead him to the last set of stairs. Yes.
Wonderful. You go through the door in the little ante room that's on the roof and down the stairwell. And looking at your key number, you are in fact on the same floor as Carl, and not next to, but one further down.
Okay.
So you know where the room number is. You've seen it.
Brilliant.
In passing.
Then in that case, I will walk to the lift and select that floor, please. Or select down, I guess, and then the floor when I get in.
Yeah, I believe it was the first one, so you don't actually need to get in the lift.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Unless, of course, you want to. You're more than welcome to.
No, if I can get to the room without doing so, then I shall get to the room without doing so.
I'm a little bit disappointed. I wanted more lift mandrill action.
A whole spin-off.
But okay. You walk down the corridor and the children that were playing some kind of weird dice game have long gone. It's presumably way past their bedtime. And you find yourself outside your room. I can open it with the key and walk in if you wish.
Yes, I shall do so. I shall open it and remain outside just for a second to say to Lance, I'm going in and I'm going to close the door. I'm going to take off my robes and then I'll pass them out through the door and put them on the hall floor. please wait until they're collected by a mandrill of the staff, and then until they are returned. And I will then step inside and close the door and do exactly that. Disrobe, then open the door a crack and pop the robes down on the floor outside, and then close the door again.
Perfect. As you go into your room, it is virtually identical to Carl's room. There is a slightly different mural on the wall. There is a basket of multicolored hard-boiled eggs on the bed, with compliments from Hugo Prevost Sawyer. And you notice that one of the pictures that was hanging in the wall, which is identical to the same one that was in Carl's room, has like a it's a diorama of people on a green open field, and one of them might not look like, but is dressed exactly the same as Alan was. Just out of note, there is a silver, and the picture almost seems to have this silver blue two-tone kind of quality to it as you move. But the room is yours to do with as you wish.
I will rest until such time as I'm informed by a knock on the door that the robes have been returned, I guess.
Wonderful. Do you are you going to sleep?
I think I probably should. I haven't done so yet. So what I will do is I will eat a couple of hard-boiled eggs, and then I will go to sleep.
Yeah, perfect. Wonderful. You can... We'll deal with that in a minute.
Okay.
Carl? What's the plan?
So Carl will stay up top on the roof by now. I assume when you say that the party's come to an end, I'm assuming you mean like there's 2s and 3s of people heading off. The staff are starting to clear away and all that stuff, and the fires are embering down, etc. Is that the vibe that's going on?
Yeah, there's no more food on the grill. There's still, a wide selection on the table and drinks, and people are wandering off, and every now and then someone will say, I'm calling it a night, and, say goodbye to the group that they're with and head back down. There are still people chatting and enjoying it.
Cole's going to grab a bottle of alcohol and a cup, a mug, and he's going to find himself a space by the fire that's sort of dying down the grill by himself, and he's going to sit there for a while, just waiting for it to darken up and really quieten down, I guess, until it's quite quiet up there. And he's willing to wait as long as it takes until the vast majority of guests have gone.
Yeah, do me a favour, roll a d6.
It's a 4.
Okay, wonderful. This, as you take a sip of this very clear, herbally scented spirit, you find yourself coming across, I don't know, you've got some weird kind of metaphysical thoughts going through your head, I suppose, if you were to define yourself as a type of philosophy. Your thought patterns change slightly. Nothing major, but and you do, and it gets very quiet. Sasha and her friends leave. There's a couple of mandrels sort of clearing stuff up and taking down tables, and all but, in fact, all of the guests have gone at this point.
And he'll start by saying it quietly. He'll go, Alan, and he'll go back to sort of sipping on his cup, I guess, and looking around by the last embers. And if there's nothing, he'll be a little bit louder. Alan?
As you say the second Alan, you you hear a cough to the side of you, not like that, just someone clearing their throat. And you turn and look, and it's the baboon from earlier, who was sat next to Jay.
The philosophical baboon.
The philosophical baboon. Sir, did I hear you? You're trying to speak to Alan.
You did, sir, but I am equally as happy to meet your acquaintance, sir. What is your name?
And they point to their name badge and it says Hugo Provost Sawyer, 431. Or 431 after it.
Hugo, Professor 431. Ah, do you mind if I call you Hugo? I know a name is but a label. It can't tell everything of a man or baboon's soul.
I am who I am, regardless of what you call me. Who am I to impose such limits on your creativity? Please.
Indeed.
Have you enjoyed your evening, dear Hugo?
It's led to some interesting conversations. How about yourself?
Mine has led to some interesting moments. Some moments of surprise. Some moments of pleasure. Some moments of violence and some moments of confusion. And only now am I able to have a moment of relaxation.
And after all, aren't we all just a collection of moments strung together in a series of electrical impulses through our bodies?
What we call life is indeed just moments, dear Hugo. So, why, dear sir, are you still here at this time of the evening? Why has sleep not taken you?
Well, I was just on my way downstairs to retire for the evening, but it is. He looks around and sort of checks that nobody else is here. It is my main role within the hotel to. I assume you've met with Alan. Nobody else uses the name unless they've met with them. It is my responsibility to pass on messages and to communicate anything that doesn't require urgent attention, to bring it to Alan's concern.
Seems like a cleverly laid out process. Dear Hugo, please pass on to Alan the news that Carl and Lucy will be following up on a lead on what we discussed earlier, and that we shall, in the morning, be leaving Troika for a short time.
He reaches into the top pocket of his red uniform, which is very similar to the rest of the mandrills, though slightly different cut, obviously, for a baboon. The tailors amongst us will know that, fitting a mandrill and fitting a baboon with a suit and a hat is very different. Reaches in and pulls out.
To join the Guild of Tailors, those are things you must learn. Yes.
Yeah, precisely. Pulls out a piece of paper and hands it over to you and says, "It's already done, sir. Good night," and walks away. And if you open up the piece of paper, there is it says on there, very, very good. I await your return to Troika, and there's an A underlined at the bottom as if a sign off.
Carl smiles, before. Let's see if I've got it in here. Are there any? Is there? He'll tear the piece into a few. Tear it up into a few, and toss it onto the embers of the brazier, whatever that the food's be the barbecue, and then he'll take the remaining half of the bottle of alcohol and his cup that he's just taken and head for the stairs down for the night.
Wonderful. The paper engulfs in flames as one of the mandrills is sort of not furiously, but constantly poking the coals to try and encourage them to burn quicker and die down, so they can all presumably finish up clearing on the roof. And you may head down into the little antechamber and down the stairs to your floor, or you can take the stairs or the lift further.
Why are you keeping trying to take the lift? That's very suspicious behaviour.
No, you can't take the lift. It's got a big sign on it that says out of order. Just to be petulant. Yeah. No, you've said it.
I want to take the lift now.
No.
He's not wrong. That lift was well out of order.
It was well out of order. Carl will wander down the stairs, pretending to be a little bit drunker than he actually is, just in case there's anything to be gleaned from people as he goes down. People loosen up around drunks, and he does it and sort of wanders down until he's at the floor and heads to his room.
Wonderful. Nothing of note or concern hits you as you're walking through. You do also notice that the children that were in your corridor have now gone, and as you enter the room, your eyes can't help but pick out the often sparkling glimmer of the blue and silver suit from the same picture that is in Lucy's room. That makes you think of Alan. Just reminds you of him somewhat. And you find yourself in your room.
I've not eaten an egg yet. I know Lucy has. I would also like to take an egg before bed, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course. How many are you eating?
I'll also take a couple, if that's okay.
It is indeed. Luke, roll. You can roll a d6 for each egg that you're about to eat, as these count as rations for the day. I believe you've only had one.
Yeah.
And you can add that to your stamina.
Okay, 3 and a 5 I rolled.
Wonderful. Lucy, I believe you already had 2 and you've eaten another 2.
I have eaten another 2.
Limited to 3 for a day, so you can roll a d6 and add that to your stamina.
Excellent. I rolled a 3.
Oh, wonderful. And then you can roll another d6 and take that away from your stamina.
Oh, you've
overeaten on eggs.
That's also a 3.
Oh, well. Easy come, easy go.
As they say, yes.
And you both find yourself in the room. Are you both going to sleep?
Yes, I think I will.
Yeah. Carl will go through his usual process from his training as his sort of assassin kind of character. So he will make sure that his door is carefully closed and locked from the inside. He'll rig up a few bits and pieces to check if anyone has so he'll get an early warning if someone enters. Like a bit of a very basic string across with something that will drop to the ground and all that sort of stuff. So unless you want me to do anything specific, that's what he'll do something of that sort of type.
No, I think you'll be fine. If anything comes up, we'll roll for it retrospectively. Both of you eventually lie down in bed and sleep takes you, and we can get to the point where you can both have a rest and you can both level up as well, because a lot's happened. In theory.
You're still leveling up games. It's very exciting.
How are we doing for time, Luke?
Honestly, if there's anything more than about this is probably good because it feels like it's
Okay.
ready to go finish.
It feels like a good break point, to be honest.
Yeah. We'll what we'll do is we'll level up quickly because it's only a few dice rolls, and then
Okay.
we will call it there for the evening.
Excellent.
So for your night of rest, you regain 2d6 stamina.
2d6 stamina. Okay.
So roll 2d6, add it to your stamina. You can't go over your maximum for your character.
Okay, that's a total of 8 for me.
Makes no difference to me. I'm maxed out on stamina anyway. So.
I was
Cool.
very long way from maxed out. My top is oh well, that's easily enough to get me back to my max, which was 16. I was on 9, believe it or not.
Oh really?
Mhm.
Oh, because you used a lot on all the gas mask stuff and
Spells.
things
I
like
did.
That.
I've been doing magics.
Yeah, your spell
Spells
related.
take stamina, which I think works quite well. For
Yeah,
rules.
I agree.
Yeah, balances
Rules
out a
light.
bit, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and you also regain 2d6 luck as well, which cannot go above your maximum.
Oh, that's
but
good.
Okay, that's
we are.
handy. My
I rolled
maximum luck is 9.
I rolled an 8, and my luck was 5, so I'm back up to 9. So that's okay.
I
Very
rolled an
nice.
8 as well, pair of 4s. My luck was 5, so I'm back up to 9 again.
As you both enter a peaceful, dreamlike state in a very comfy and crisp bed, it must be said. You find yourself reflecting on the activities of the last day, the skills that you succeeded in, what you've learned from this, and you may attempt to. In fact, you may choose 3 of your spells or skills for Ben, and you can attempt to level up in them. So you will roll 2d6 for each, and what you want to do is you want to roll over your current skill plus your skill. So if you've got a 1 in climb, Luke, for example, you would add 1 to your skill and you want to roll 2d6 over that to succeed in it.
Can you only
These have
level
to be
up
skills.
that you've used, right?
Yeah. They have to be ones that you've already succeeded in. So if you've got a tick next to it because you've succeeded, those are the skills you can level up in because you've practiced it successfully.
Does the number of ticks next to it make any difference at all?
Nope.
And
Sorry, it's a binary. I should have said that earlier. It's a binary system. They either have a tick or they don't.
And do we
Okay.
rub that out at the end of the day as well? Does that go back to
Once you've chosen 3, you rub out all ticks against all skills, even if you didn't
Alright.
test them.
Okay, I'm going to try to level up my level 2 assume shape. So I have that means I have to roll over 6 plus, because 6 is my skill, so I have to roll above 6 plus 2. Is that right?
It is indeed.
Okay.
Yeah. Not equal to for this one, just above.
Okay. So for that one, I've rolled a 9, which is just above 6 plus 2. So that makes my assume shape a level 3.
I quite
Does
like this
indeed.
because it means that the more skilled you get, the harder it is to get better at it. That's quite
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah,
The first one I'm gonna attempt to improve is my sneak.
Mhm.
I've got many skills, lots of skills, but they're all rank 1. So I will
Cool.
roll my.
The cool thing is it's not limited either. So once your skill reaches a 12, you have to roll a 12 and then another 12.
Okay.
Oh wow, 8.
Which is very unlikely. Sorry,
I've,
Luke.
I've leveled up my sneak. Sorry.
Yep. So that is now a 2. Which is very unlikely, but it does make it possible theoretically.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like it. That's cool.
Ben, next one.
I'm going to try to level up my thunder, please, which is currently level 2. So 2 plus 6 is 8 again. I need to beat an 8.
Yeah, that's the one.
And that's a 5.
Oh.
So
Sorry.
I lose my tick, even though I don't level up.
Yes.
Okay.
You do indeed.
My next one I'm going to try and improve is my awareness, which is at rank 1. And so I just need to beat a 6. So statistically, things are still good, and that was very good. That was even better. That's a 9. Because I'm using my pink dice.
Perfect. And then Ben, third and final choice.
My third and
List.
final choice is going to be. I'm going to try to level up my recently discovered skill of Persuade Monkey.
Oh, of course.
I did
gotta
think
throw a
Detect
monkey skill
Monkey
in there.
maybe, but you see, I already have a sort of pick out individual skills. I'm thinking that probably makes Persuade Monkey more useful. So I'm going to go with a Persuade Monkey.
Yep. Make the roll. I was a little bit disappointed you didn't go through all 3 monkey skills. But, hey,
I have 4
time.
now. Yeah. I believe it or not, I have Lighter Monkey, Detect Monkey, Enrage Monkey, and Persuade Monkey. That's a total of 8, which means I level up my Persuade Monkey.
Perfect. So you may add 1 to that, and that becomes a 2. And Luke.
Right. I also have lighter. I've called it apes. Lighter apes, but I'm not going to upgrade it. I went apes. That covers more. I'm not going to lighter apes, which means I'm choosing between knife fighting and poison, which are 2 very different approaches to a man's style. Do I feel I need to be aggressive, or do I need to? I'm going to go with poison, which is also a rank of 1, and that is also very good. That is also a 9, but a different 9.
Nice.
So, but I had lower rank than Ben, of course. But all of mine were level 1 rank. So
yeah.
So I'm catching up a little bit as it stands. So that's good.
Yes, I failed to level up one of my skills, and it was level 2, but I missed it quite widely anyway.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. You're rolling up 2d6s, and eventually you're just going to get under your flat skill.
Yeah, you are. You're going to miss some of them, I'm afraid.
Yeah, but it is all good. You have all improved in something, somewhat. You have regained some stamina. You've regained some luck. You must now remove all of the ticks from your sheet, regardless of whether you tested them or not, and we'll just start afresh.
All ticks.
We won't necessarily level up each day, but this felt like a good point. You guys have done a lot of stuff.
It is a good. I feel you're right. It's a good end to a session. It's a good break in the action, and we've kind of completed a world almost. I guess
like
at least our first visit.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. You've ticked a lot of boxes, and some that I didn't think we were going to get anywhere near. It's an interesting route that's been snaking around.
Been trying things, seeing what sticks.
Yeah. Exactly. But thank you everyone for watching. Thank you, Ben and Luke, for playing.
Thank you, guys.
It's been a joy.
It's been enormous fun, and obviously thank you especially to Ewan for running it for us. It's very kind of you. Thank you. Enjoyed it greatly.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you.
And thanks to Crit for the philosophical baboon.
Yes, and thanks everyone for joining us, whether live or on VOD. And tomorrow night is Orbital Blues.
Yeah, which comes with a lot more sarcasm and banter between the crew.
Oh, and I mean,
a different vibe.
Roughly comparable amounts of violence, though.
Yes, accurate. And we're on a new world there as well, aren't we? Or very recently in a new location.
Yeah, just starting a new environment. Yes.
Well, you're at the coffee shop. You're basically locals now. For those that may be interested, tomorrow, if you're in chat, if you've joined us, tomorrow's Orbital Blues. It's Space Cowboys. It's Firefly meets Cowboy Bebop, and the crew of the Alknos, which is Ben, Ewan, and Socks. Not her real name, but her internet name. I don't think it's a real name anyway. I have arrived on this mining base for a boxing match between like a gang, a big like mafia gang member, and someone else that they've met and befriended along the way. And there's a lot of pieces in the air that they need to decide what they're going to go along with. and it should be quite interesting. It's building up to a point, I feel. There's a lot of people in that place, so
there's a lot, and there's a lot going on that we've actually kind of set up or planned for. So we'll see how it works.
Exactly. So that'll be fun for tomorrow, hopefully.
It will. It'll definitely be
Yes.
interesting, as you say. There's lots of things to do. It's exciting.
Things to do, people to drug. It's going to go brilliantly.
Crankshafts to fix.
Crankshafts to fix. Quite right.
Nice one. So until tomorrow evening, good night, Ben. Good night, Ewan, and good night, chat.
Good night, everyone. Thank you again. See you
Good
tomorrow.
night.
See you guys. Bye.